Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth.
On Now You Know. We're brought to you by abetterrouteplanner.com. Use our link in the show notes below to get a 30-day free trial.
Waypoints!
And you can help support our channel by heading over to ecoware.us to find all sorts of new designs every week. And we carbon offset the production, the shipping, and the life cycle of every product. And we plant 10 trees for every order.
And we're also brought to you by BigBattery.com. No matter what you need to power, Big Battery can provide you with the latest battery tech at the best price per kilowatt hour guaranteed. Their batteries are easily installed, require zero maintenance, and they're made right here in the US. Pick up yours today at BigBattery.com and use the code NOWYOUKNOW for 5% off at checkout.
So, the Model S Plaid delivery event.
Yeah, we're going to recap it for you. So if you didn't stay up late last night, because it didn't get over until about 12:30 or so Eastern, and there was so much talk before the event about what is going to take place. Are we going to hear about Cybertruck? Are we going to hear about the Model 2? Well, we're here to tell you, we just heard about Plaid, okay? So we're going to talk about what he discussed. We took notes, and this just happened literally 2 minutes ago, so it's still fresh in our minds while we are still awake. So let's go here. First of all, spoiler alert. I don't think that there are 4680s in this car. We're going to get to this, but I think that it's still either 18650s or 2170s. I think he would have specifically said it, or we would have seen a picture that made it clear.
Right. I mean, they said that there was a new battery pack, but we did not see any 4680s.
He talked about charging, 187 miles per 15 minutes. And I think the reason he did that was, again, because there is nothing new to talk about here in terms of the battery pack being 4680. I think that is because it's an efficient car. We're about to talk about the new carbon sleeve rotors, and I think that has a lot to do with the efficiency. But in terms of charging, in terms of the battery, I think, to me, the big news tonight is that this car may not have 4680s in it.
Is that such a bad thing, though?
I don't know if it's a bad thing.
The performance, though. I mean, the performance to me is really all that needs to be talked about. I think that a lot of people care way too much about what are the batteries inside the car. Tesla's been improving the cell chemistry in their batteries continuously. It's not like you buy a Model S today, and even if it has 18650s in it, it's going to be the same batteries that were in the cars in 2012. That is absolutely not the case. They've been improving it constantly. So to make that kind of jump to where it's like, well, if it's 4680s, I don't want it, I think is a fool's errand. Yeah,
I don't know. I just think when you're spending, I mean, he raised the price of the car up $10,000 just, within 24 hours of this event. So now we're talking $129,990 for the Plaid. There is no Plaid Plus. And so you're getting the 390 miles of range, the 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. So amazing car. No question about it. It seats 5. That's absolutely amazing. But because so many of us in the Tesla world were already aware of all these things, the delivery event, I think for many of us, isn't as exciting. Now, at the end of it, you were like, I want one.
Do you know what I want right now?
What do you want?
More than anything else in the whole wide world?
What do you want?
I want a Model S Plaid. Yeah.
Which I have not heard you say before.
Look, I have been Model 3 since day one, right? I heard about the Model S. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Like back in 2010, they were like, oh, the Model S is coming out. And I was like, whatever. I don't know about electric cars. In 2010, I didn't know anything. Even in 2015, 16, the Model S to me, it was like so unaffordable to me that I was just, there's no way I could ever afford one, so I'm not even going to go there. Then the Model 3 comes out. Oh, Model 3, Model 3, Model 3. I have one. I love it. This thing comes out. I don't even care anymore. I just want it.
Okay, but 3 reasons why you want it.
I liked seeing the guts of the car. I thought that was neat.
So I think the motor?
That was cool. Yeah. It's tough with electric cars because normally if you're like a car guy, you know what cars are supposed to look like. You know what engines are supposed to be.
That's a really good point. This is the first time I think I can recall that they've shown the gearbox, the transmission. Yes. This is a single-speed transmission, so you're going to be able to go from 0 to 200 miles an hour on a single-speed transmission. Keep in mind that the Porsche Taycan has a 2-speed transmission. Not as efficient. It's kind of a hack that they had to do to get that upper top speed. The fact that Tesla's been able to do it with a single speed gearbox is unbelievable. And the fact that they showed it off, to your point, is really smart because for the gearheads out there, they got to see some gears.
Yes. And I mean, the problem is, of course, nobody knows what they're looking at.
Right.
Because they're the gearheads of the future, let's say, they're just starting out now.
Well, to that point, let's talk about what he talked about next, which is the carbon sleeve rotors. They had to come up with a way to basically, this is a new innovation, okay, to make the motor, more efficient, but also it's spinning at 20,000 plus RPM, which means what?
Things break if you go very fast. So, I mean, like, take, like, a plate or a book or something. I finally get to use my textbook here. Take two objects or whatever. Pretend that this is two halves of your motor, and you spin it. Oh, no.
Oh, and you only
fell
spun
off.
that at like 20 RPM.
The centrifugal force pulled the things apart. Now, rotors are made out of strong materials. Big, strong, heavy materials.
Right, so what's a carbon sleeve rotor?
So what the carbon sleeve is doing is it's holding that motor together as it's spinning.
Right, because it's expanding. It wants to expand.
It wants to expand, and that's not so good.
And that means that the tolerances normally would just stop. It would stop itself.
And so you wouldn't be able to have as powerful a motor because the rotor would have to be undersized, which means that now your fields and everything when you're driving not at 200 miles an hour, which is most of the time,
are not as efficient.
Are not as efficient. And that means that your power just wouldn't be as good.
And Elon said they had to make the machine to make the motor.
We talk about moats. Tesla has this moat. No other car manufacturer is able to do that. The Taycan, when it came out, everyone was like, oh, the Taycan has a higher top speed than a Tesla. Of course, the argument goes, who cares? Only psychopaths drive that fast, or people on race courses. And the reason that the Taycan was able to do that was because it had a gearbox. Why did it need the gearbox?
Right,
because the motor would have exploded.
And here's the other point. All the other big auto companies open the hood, rip things apart till you get to the motor, and read who made the motor. It will not say Ford on it. It will say Magna. It will say Borg Warner. It will say Bosch. Tesla, rip that car apart. What does the motor say?
It says Tesla on it.
They make the motor.
They make the motor, and they've out-motored motor companies.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is insane because no other car manufacturer makes their own electric motors.
Yeah. And like, boom, mic drop. When
a car manufacturer makes the engine of the car, and you look at the engine, what does the gas engine say?
I mean, it used to say Ford or GM.
Used to say that.
Right.
No, not really as often.
Not as often.
It shows you what's happened to these other car manufacturers and why they can't keep up with Tesla.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here. Drag coefficient. Elon said that this Model S now has the lowest drag coefficient of any of their cars, a 0.208.
While the wheels are spinning. I mean, usually they test them in a wind tunnel or something, and the wheels aren't spinning. Mm-hmm. The wheels spinning creates drag. So they tested this with the wheels spinning, and it got the best coefficient of friction.
Let's talk about the heat pump. I know it doesn't sound sexy, but when you are trying to cool the batteries or heat up the batteries or heat up the cabin or cool the cabin, you need to do it some way. And they're using heat pump this time, which Elon said is 30% more efficient, and it uses 50% less energy to heat the cabin in freezing conditions.
Which improves range significantly. And Norway. I think
New England, Minnesota,
yes, Canada. I mean, there's so many places where that's important, and it's just so great that they're embracing heat pumps.
Well, also, forget cold weather. He said back-to-back 0-60s. Normally, old Model S's had a problem with this, right? You did a 0 to 60, and then you had to cool off the car. Now, what we're talking about here, and we know a lot about this because we helped race a car up to Pikes Peak, and heat was our big problem.
And was the problem of our competition.
Right.
If you notice on some of the runs, heat was the problem, number one problem. So it has a bigger radiator, and that just means that you get more heat transfer, and that means you get to do more with that heat pump.
All right, let's talk about Nurburgring. That's the race course, the famous race course in Germany. Elon said he wants to go back there with this car. I think he's going to break some records.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this little one, which you and I are arguing about. But I heard Elon say a typical Elon-esque thing, which is he talked about the superchargers, and he just kind of went off on a tangent about, they're 250 kilowatts. But you know what? We're going to make them even better. They're going to be 300. They're going to be 308. They're going to be 350.
We're just going to keep going so that you can basically travel anywhere you want with peace of mind, super easy. keep increasing the power of the superchargers. We're 250 kilowatts, so obviously that we'll start going to 280, 300, 350. Yeah.
And I missed it. I was sitting here watching the live stream.
You were busy. You were doing a lot. You were running the whole show.
But I missed it.
But so here's the thing.
I think a lot of people will miss that.
I think I'm right, and I think that this is typical where the engineering department at Tesla is going, oh no, but the boss said it. I think he wants to get there to 350 kilowatt charging. Now look, other charging networks can do it, so it's not impossible. This is great news. It means that he wants to do it too. I think that's just awesome.
Now the question would be, is that Model S that was on stage and the 25 that were delivered that night, are they going to be able to do 350 kilowatts?
I doubt it, because it goes back to the batteries. I don't think that they have the latest, greatest batteries in them. But I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Hey, we don't know.
We just know that it can charge 187 miles in 15 minutes, and that's really good.
It's pretty good. And look, we don't know until the fat lady sings. And
Right.
by the fat lady, I do mean Sandy Munro.
Sorry,
He's not fat and he's not a lady, but we won't know until Sandy Munro rips that thing apart and he shows us the batteries that are inside of it.
All right. Safety. I know it's boring for you guys, but Elon said they're aspiring to have this be the safest car on the road. And Teslas are already the safest cars, so this is amazing.
Yep. Nothing new here. No. I mean, they're already at the top. This is like climbing Mount Everest. You're at Mount Everest, and then you're like, I brought a ladder with me. And you go, boop, boop, boop. I mean, that's all Tesla can do at this point.
I know.
They're already at the top of the heap.
Well, it's kind of sad that Elon has to say it's like a Volvo and a race car. It's like, don't even mention Volvo anymore.
Right.
This is.
I mean, yeah. I love the graph that shows the percentage of injury. Tesla's clean up. They're at the top of the list. I love how the list is just like sloping down like, meh, and then it gets to Tesla and it's like, ooh, what?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. No stocks. We knew that already. He said it's optimized for AP.
And we're talking about the little things that you grab
and he talked about how, you're going to walk up to the car, the handles are going to pop out, it's going to know that you want to drive, and it's going to know what direction to drive in. And that's really awesome.
You can swipe on the screen if it gets it wrong, and then it's going to learn how you do it.
And it's going to be geocoded, so it's going to know, like, this is your house, and you just go this way when you leave your house. And he said it's going to keep getting smarter. And he implied that it's going to read your mind. I don't think he meant that. Then we got to see the back seat, and he called it a legit back seat.
They were able to move the front cabin, the front seats forward. That gives you more legroom in the back, and they improved the seats in the back immeasurably.
Now, while we're talking about seats, there was no mention of a 7-seater. So is that the end of that discussion, or do you think it's still going to be like they're going to squeeze a couple seats in the back? I feel like
they don't need it. They really don't need it. Buy the Model X.
Agree.
If you want 7 seats, get the Model X.
There's or the Model Y.
Yes,
right.
Exactly. Yeah, they didn't need it. Now, the cool part in the back seats, obviously you have that little screen, which is awesome, which you can watch Netflix on.
You can control your vents with.
You can do lots of control stuff. The fold-down center armrest has 2 inductive phone chargers.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. Talk about fancy schmancy Uber badoober.
36 watts of power, so you can charge your laptop.
Right. Now that's with the USB-C plug.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Tesla is ahead of the game here.
Yeah.
Because
4 phones in the car can inductively charge, wirelessly charge.
I won't say most, but a lot of phones today that you might even be watching this video on don't have inductive charging. Tesla is ahead of
the phone market,
of current technology, the phone market, which is, I think most people would say, is like the cutting edge.
Right.
Tesla is ahead of that market.
Right.
What car company has ever been ahead of the market?
No, you're absolutely right. Most car companies wait until everyone's got something and they're clamoring for it before they slowly start to give it to you.
If you drive an older car, does it still have a tape player in it? Does it still have a CD player in it? Does it have an aux port?
Right.
Does it? Is there or did someone have to hack that in together? Because the car companies have always been behind. Tesla is now ahead of phones. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable.
The screen, it's 2200 by 1300 pixels, 17-inch screen. We already knew that was really cool.
It's a really high quality screen. I'd like to point out that's going to be a lot higher DPI, that's dots per inch, than the Model 3 screen. It's not 4K, but it's higher than 1080p. So it's I would say it's like a nice monitor, like a really nice computer monitor that you're going to be close to. So really smart that they have that.
And let's talk about, there's going to be new UI. So he showcased a little bit of what you can do. So you can swipe things, you can move things, you can resize things.
I love this part.
Yeah, Jesse got really excited when you saw that.
I don't know what it was. It just looks so buttery smooth and so good and just configurable.
A lot of people were asking in the chat when this happened, is this coming to the Model 3 and Model Y?
Shouldn't it, though?
I think it will.
But this car is going to have a pretty hefty GPU in it.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know if the GPU in the other cars can handle it.
So when we're saying GPU, we're saying graphics card.
Right.
It can play games in the car at a PlayStation 5 level. So we're talking, that's top of the line in terms of AAA games.
Right. He showed off, as you're seeing here, some Cyberpunk being played live in
live demo.
Right.
Didn't really need to do me a live demo. It's not like I wouldn't have believed him.
Sure.
But maybe for CNET and CNBC.
I thought it would have been cool if he had hopped into the car and played it himself or something.
I do think, like, if he, I know this sounds silly, if he like hopped in to the car and said, like, do you want to see me play Cyberpunk? And he's like, this is my guy. Like, that's all I'd really want him to say. Like, that would be funny. Yeah. Maybe that's just me. You can leave a comment down below.
There's new gestures.
Yeah, talk to me about those.
So I guess we already know about like being able to swipe down,
right.
But I guess with the new UI, there's going to be new gestures, things to make it even easier to use.
Right.
I think being able to resize stuff is really cool. I mean, we're kind of used to right now being stuck with however it's laid out and being able to customize that. So basically, he said there's going to be a whole customization.
Right.
That's really cool. When he started talking about navigation, I think the crowd almost took over the event and started chanting waypoints.
Right.
And I thought he was going to announce something because he kept going, well, check this out.
Okay, does everybody here want waypoints? All right, fine, we'll do waypoints. God damn it. All right. 2 weeks. All right, we'll do waypoints, fine.
I read it as that they have waypoints in the car. I thought that I couldn't see the presentation that well.
I don't think
and
that's
that they were showing waypoints and that everyone was cheering about the waypoints. And I was like, oh, good, they have waypoints. And then he's like, all right, we'll do waypoints. And I'm like, what do you mean? Don't you have They don't have waypoints in the car?
Yeah.
At the beginning of this in-depth.
I'm not surprised.
I am a little bit.
Well, I'm not surprised because, as you just mentioned at the beginning of this in-depth, we are sponsored by A Better Route Planner. And A Better Route Planner is amazing because it has waypoints and it's had it for years and it's hard to do.
If you don't drive an EV, you won't understand the point of this. The thing is, if I want to drive to grandma's house and it's very far away maybe, or maybe it's medium far away, and then I want to drive home, and then I want to drive to my aunt's house. And then I want to drive up a mountain and back down the mountain. And then I want to drive home. And I want to make sure that I'm fully charged during all of that. The Tesla doesn't help me.
Right.
If I say, go to grandma's house, it'll say, you can make it to grandma's house and you will have 24% when you get there. And I go, okay, good. Now I want to go to my aunt's house. Oh.
That's a completely different trip.
If only I had known you could have stopped at the supercharger 40 miles away.
Right.
Oh, thanks a lot. So waypoints is important. This would have been a home run. You just the Model S has waypoints coming soon to the Model 3.
I think there's another one where off stage, the software department was like, don't say it, Elon, don't say it.
Right.
And then he said it and they're like, crap, because it's harder than you think to do waypoints. Now, obviously Tesla's got the smartest mind, so if they'll be able to do it. But I think if they had been able to do it up to this point, they would have done it.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Here's what I think. I think that Elon is so used to living in San Francisco where there's just a billion superchargers.
He lives in Beverly Hills, okay? So
he did
get your facts straight.
Not anymore. Not anymore. Well, in LA, there's just a billion superchargers all over California, and so their chances are there's going to be a supercharger on your route.
I agree.
He doesn't live in Ohio. He doesn't live in New Hampshire,
right,
where there's going to be like some serious elevation changes. Not in Ohio, obviously, but in Denver, Colorado, all of this stuff where it's like, I got to grandma's house, but I went down the mountain. Now I have to go back up the mountain. I can't make it to the like this sort of stuff. I don't think he has the use case. And I think also he gets in the car and somebody else might be driving it,
or full self.
Okay, Mr. Elon, here we go.
Let's talk about, I think the sexiest thing was this curve, this power curve right here.
Yeah.
Can you please explain this to me?
So so let's just talk about it. The y-axis, that's the up-down axis of the graph, is horsepower. The the x-axis, the long flat axis, is speed. Now, normally, and as they show on the graph, with most Teslas, as you increase in speed, the power of the motors goes down. With this car, it goes up to 1,000 horsepower. And then it goes 1,000 horsepower. It doesn't slow down.
Think about 1,000 horses.
Look, horsepower is not what you think it is, but
I know it's
1,000 horsepower is that's some serious go juice.
Yeah.
That is some flubber technology.
And so I think one of the most amazing takeaways from this event is the technology that they've been able to put into the powertrain. You've got a tri-motor powertrain now that has just incredible over 1,000 horsepower, and it can give it to you at any speed.
This is the fastest production car in the world.
And I don't want to hear the people saying like, how about the Nexera, by Rimac? Yes, it's a faster car, but they're only making 150 of them, and they cost €2 million.
Right.
So
this
it's
car
not
costs $130,000,
Right.
And they're going to make as many as people want.
Right.
That is different.
Yeah.
That's a different thing, and it's going to, and they're going to be on the road.
Yeah.
And people are going to own them.
They're going to be on the road until a lot of them aren't, because I just want to point out that a lot of them are going to get into accidents, because that's a lot of power to put into the hands of anyone who's not trained. I mean, that is race car power.
Right.
Beyond race car power. We've talked about this before. It's faster than an F1.
It is faster than a Formula One
right?
car.
So I just want to say, like, it's an accident waiting to happen.
Well,
Which is good news for some people, because if you need parts, there's going to be a lot of good parts. He said the deliveries are starting last night. 25 of them are going to be delivered. He said they were going to get up to 100 a week real soon, and then they would be at 1,000 a week by next quarter. So next quarter's right around the corner. Now, we noticed on the order page that you can get your Plaid model this month in June, but you can't get a long-range model until September to October. So I think what Tesla's doing is they're stacking the line, and basically they want you to get a Plaid, because that's what that, costs, what, $50,000 more.
Yeah.
Would you get a Plaid after seeing this, or a long-range?
Well, like if I was buying a Model S?
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing, though. If I buy the long-range Model S, all standard features, white paint, black interior, standard 19-inch wheels, no autopilot, I could maybe pretty soon be looking at getting a $10,000 federal incentive, potentially. And I wouldn't get that with the Plaid, because the Plaid would be over the $80,000 incentive limit.
So far, the bill we've seen has an $80,000 limit. It may be changed, but I agree with you. You're going to miss out on that most likely if you go with the Plaid.
Which stinks, because I can't get any Model S options.
So you're kind of stuck with the white, black interior.
Now, with the money that I save, the $10,000 incentive, I could wrap it, get new wheels. The interior would be a lot harder to change, but...
And also with the money you save from not buying the Plaid, you could buy a Model 3 or a Model Y.
Yeah, so it's like... That's tricky also, but you're going to be waiting a lot longer for the Model S. Big question here, is the Model 3 still exciting after this Model S unveiling?
Good question.
I think it is.
Yeah, I do.
In terms of just price point in its own category.
Because, there's some things we hadn't mentioned yet. There's the acoustic glass. There's the 22 speakers. There's a 920 watt audio system. Those are all amazing things. But again, it doesn't take away. Like, you're going to drive home in your Model 3 tonight. It's still freaking exciting.
Bonkersly good at audio. If you turn it up all the way, you can be driving at 90 miles on the highway, and you're not going to hear it over the sound of the bass.
Right. And I mean, you can buy about 3 of them for the price of a Plaid. So,
So
yeah. No, really exciting night. I want to put up some polls that we did last night, because we got a lot of good data. These are our Patreon polls, and we asked these 3 questions. All right, so what was the first question we asked?
The first one, Plaid Plus had been canceled. Elon canceled it on Twitter. He said that it's canceled. Was it a bad idea?
And I was kind of surprised by the answer.
Yeah, I have heard so many people adamant, I hate Elon. He got rid of the Plaid Plus. How dare he? And I thought, oh my goodness, everyone hates Elon for getting rid of the Plaid Plus. The Plaid Plus was the whole reason anyone ever showed up. The poll shows otherwise.
Yeah.
Over 10 times people thought that it wasn't a bad idea to get rid of the Plaid.
Yep.
Because the Plaid has everything that the Plaid Plus has, except for a little bit more range.
Yeah, I mean, about 100 miles of range, but for
Which is
30...
crazy,
but for $30,000 or
Exactly.
more. So, what was the next question?
The next question was, will Model S sales exceed past records? So if we look back, I believe it was Q4 of 2017, record numbers for the Model S back in 2017.
And how many was that
It was about 15,000
in the quarter?
deliveries that quarter. So is the Model S going to exceed that? So, I mean, Elon said that they would be making about 1,000 a week once they were ramped up. Mm-hmm. That would be 13,000 Model S's a quarter.
And that's just next quarter. They might be able to squeeze out more than that once they really get going. Yeah, I think they could do it. I mean, maybe they won't beat their record right off the bat, but there's so much pent-up demand, I think, because, as we're seeing from this chart, demand has been dropping, and especially when people are waiting for the refresh. So, yeah, I think they can do it.
I think that this has been a great resetting of the balance of the force. The Model S used to be Tesla's best car. Then the Model 3 came out and kind of stole its thunder. And everyone who had a Model S is kind of like, ooh. Well, yeah, the Model S has better stats and everything, but the Model 3 has like the nice interior.
And here's the thing that you just kind of pointed out. I don't think this new tax credit that we've been all talking about is really going to affect the Model S at all. And that is because of the $80,000 limit. Right. And because of the fact that, yes, you might be able to squeak one in, but for most people, they're going to want some options, and that's going to put them over the limit. So I think that if I was about to buy an EV, I'd be waiting to see what that bill actually becomes before I bought. But I think the Model S here, it's like, well, it doesn't really affect me, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger.
But here's the thing. The Model S, now that it's going to be king again, I really do think that it's going to be king again. You're going to want to drive the Model S.
Yep.
You're going to say, this is the best car.
Yep.
The Model 3 isn't the best car anymore. My car is the best now. Yep. That is the shift that the Model S, at least, has been waiting for. And I think that that's going to increase sales. And I think that Tesla is going to really benefit, like, culturally, because it's going to be so much better than it even was.
Yeah.
And just through social media and grassroots and stuff, that's what's going to change people's minds. I mean, and then you have the guy who pulls up with the Model S, blows people away, and then says, yeah, you can buy a Tesla for $39,000. And people go, oh, crap.
Right.
That's amazing.
What was the third question?
The third question was, would you buy the base Model S to get the $100,000 incentive?
And the answer here was...
Most people can't afford it anyway, and it doesn't matter. The second question...
But for those who can afford it.
Yes, that's a bargain. So a lot of people thought that it was good. Maybe it was just because we phrased the question in such a way. Well, and here's the interesting part. Plaid was the main big event part of the thing. What about the refresh Model S? What about the Model X? Model X was nowhere to be found. This whole presentation.
Yeah, good point. We're used to Elon coming out, talking about one thing, and then something else pulls out on stage, and that didn't happen tonight because it was just a delivery event. It was kind of like the Model 3 delivery event a few years ago. It was kept to just this product, which I think was smart. But yeah, a lot of us had expectations. He might talk about the Cyber Quad. He might talk about the Model 2. Right. And that didn't happen. It was just focused on the Plaid.
And I think that was smart.
Yeah.
Don't detract from the Plaid.
Right.
You want people to go out and buy the Plaid. So that's exactly what probably happened.
I just wish that Franz had stayed on stage with him and they had done, a tag team on what was going on, because I think it would have been fun to hear from Franz. And I think that Elon kind of, got ahead of himself sometimes and just kind of rushed some things that he could have really taken his time on.
Look,
and enjoyed.
We know that he's not the best public speaker. I'm not knocking him on that. I mean, look at what Tesla's been able to achieve. But yeah, would it have been better if there was some suave kind of just like, and now in my voice, which is very clear and constant, and I'm not making any weird pauses or anything, I'm telling you the information, and I'm swelling my voice when I need to, and the Model S is the best. Like, would that have gone over better? I don't know. For me, I would listen to Elon present anything because I understand. It's great to... Look, we've talked to so many marketing people, so many people who kind of understand the product that they're selling. Elon understands the Model S. inside and out. So when he's impressed about the carbon sleeved rotors, it comes out. And I love that about him.
I think I want to end on a quote that he said.
Yes.
This car crushes.
And it is going to crush. I really do think, not Model 3 sales or anything, but it's going to crush
the competition.
Every car.
Yeah.
Every other car practically.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what the stock price does. I don't know if it'll move much at all, but I think it was overall a good event. I was so hyped for it. I think you did a fantastic job the other night on our live stream. If you want to go and see the event, go check it out. We did a great pre-show on there, and it was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. We had 100,000 people or something hanging out. So what a great community we have. Thank you so much for joining us on this in-depth. Hopefully you got to see what you might have missed the other night when you fell asleep. And we'll see you next week. Now you know.